Hello everyone and welcome to another video with me, 320 Sim Pilot. I'm a real world airline pilot, and in today's video I'm going to be taking you through all of the new aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. This is part 2, part 1 is already on the channel. In this video we'll continue on through the standard edition of Microsoft Flight Simulator, covering all of the aircraft that you'll get included that are brand new. So we're going to take each one for a flight. This will then be followed by part 3, where we'll cover all of the premium deluxe and deluxe aircraft. So in today's video, we're going to look at some really interesting ones. We've got fighter jets, we've got hot air balloons, we've got drones, we've got conventional airplanes, we have short takeoff landing, hot air balloons, lots of fun to be had, lots of different styles of flying, some really wacky, wonderful machines in today's video. So we'll be taking a look at those. Each one we'll take for a little flight and have a look at. This won't be a full review of each one. This will be very much just a getting it in the air and giving you a few clues about some of the differences and special features of these unique machines. So let's get started with the video. Okay, an exciting one now, the Patey Aviation Draco X. This is a super high performance, short takeoff landing, off-road bush aeroplane. Really cool. The original Draco was made by Mike Patey. It did have an incident, and now it's going to be rebuilt into the Draco X. This is their new plan, originally based on a Wilga sort of bush aeroplane. So yeah, really exciting. Super high performance. Let's get it in the air. You do have the option to have it in, there's a couple of liveries, although as usual having to wait to stream them. There's a cargo variant, a passenger one, and then there's a special livery as well, but we'll go with the classic red livery. Let's take it for a flight. So here we are with the Draco X. Now this is a monster of a machine. You can see straight away from the outside it means business. This is specifically designed for short takeoff landing. It can enter competitions, but also Mike Patey wanted it to be able to carry 4 people with all their gear. It's got about 1,000 horsepower. Again, this is a fictional aeroplane at this point. I don't think it's been completed yet, but it's certainly on the cards, and I'm sure if anyone's going to do it, Mike will. You can see all the sponsorships. You can actually buy a model of the original Draco, a remote control version from Horizon Hobby, which you can see there. I do like remote control airplanes. But there we go. It looks absolutely fantastic. Big wheels. Again, like all these things, we're seeing just the default airplanes are just absolutely lovely. And this is such a cool airplane to get to try out in the simulator. We've got it here at Quentin Lodge in New Zealand, which is one of the recommended locations Microsoft provides. Perfect for a short takeoff landing, high performance airplane like this. Look at that huge wingspan. Absolutely glorious. So let's take it up for a flight. Right, let's take it for a flight. On the flight deck then, it's really cool. Nice red interior, I love that. They've got all the little details. They've got the pulsing lights if you want to set them. And look at the way the lights even highlight, you know, it's backlit, it then lights up the selection you've got. It's just lovely. And now you can see those pulsing lights on the outside of the airplane. Very cool. This is something you see often on modern general aviation airplanes flying around in open airspace. You've also got some other systems like the door seal, and I'm sure there's more going on here, so lots to learn. You do have a little autopilot if you want it. I like it. They've once again provided far more detail than I expected for a general aviation airplane. And this character sitting next to us, all dressed up as well. Fantastic. Love it. So let's release the parking brake. Now you're going to be very gentle on takeoff with this airplane. I'm going to feed the power on, and I'm going to hold up elevator. Gently feed the power. If you allow the tail to lift off the ground, your control gets very hard, especially if you go full power. That is because there's a lot of torque and gyroscopic effects. Now Mike can get this airplane off the ground much better than I can, so yeah, he can do it in a couple of meters, but I have to be very gentle, trickling the power on, or just let it come up. All wheels at once, there we go. If you don't, you'll find that you can end up yawing very much off the side of the runway. It's really cool to see that effect simulated, that gyroscopic torque of that big engine and propeller. So very nice to see that modeled. And then look at the climb rate. This is accurate. If you've seen the real Draco climb, it does very much this. It's an amazing machine with huge performance to go on absolutely crazy zoom climbs out of airports. Now it's hugely out of trim at the moment, as you'd expect. That's because I'm using the elevator to drag it off the ground like that. So let's try and get it back into trim, back into trim. And we'll bring it round for an immediate landing. So let's bring the nose round, still climbing away at 90 plus knots. So we've got lots of room for a wing over here. We'll come downwind in the valley, bringing the power back now. So we got off the ground there with, I don't know, feels like half power. And then I added the power once we got in the air. As you get better at it, and if you have better controls than I do, you'll be able to get the airplane going a bit quicker than that, I'm sure. Something you can practice. Right, let's get the speed right back now. So powering back, trimming it out. I'm going to bring it in for hopefully a short landing if we can manage. It's not easy to do. Let's get full flap now, below the flap maneuvering speed. There's the runway down there, so we'll just use the drag of the big flaps and that big propeller to get ourselves stabilized in 58 knots. keep it trimming back. It's awesome. This is an awesome looking airplane. It sounds great and it flies even better. It flies just like I was hoping it would. It's challenging, it can do amazing things, but it's not easy to do it. You've got to know what you're doing and you've got to have practice. What's better way to have an airplane in Flight Simulator than needing a bit of practice? So just feeding the power on now. Don't want to get too slow over these trees. Come on, power. 42 knots we're doing here. It gets very mushy in a low speed. But be careful with that turboprop lagging as power comes on. There we go. It's just rocketed up to 60 knots. So we're back to idle. Let's see if I can get it down. Probably a bit fast now for a 3-point landing. Let's touchdown. Into reverse. Let's get on the brakes gently. And there we go. Stopped. That's awesome. And it'll be possible to do much better than that. Again, the real one lands in a couple of meters. And I reckon a bit of a headwind and a bit of practice, you could do that with this one. Great fun. Now let's try out the Ericsson Air Crane. This has been used in the trailers a lot. It's in that loading screen, so we've all seen it many times. By Blackbird Simulations, this one, so another third-party one. I don't know what we can configure with it, but this is obviously a rugged industrial helicopter used for some cool things. So you can have a firefighting missions with this one. We've also got the classic lifting configuration. Let's try that. There are different liveries. Look at that, army, red. That's pretty cool. So you can have all different things. So yeah, we'll take it out in the orange. I think that's a good one. And let's take it for a flight. Okay, here we are in the Ericsson Air Crane. Now, this is challenging to fly regardless of having assists or not. So I currently had them off, but I had them on and it was not much easier. This is a really cool machine, but it is difficult with an Xbox controller, I can tell you that. Again, beautiful detail on the model. I'm excited to try it out. I think we could have some good fun with this, especially in the missions. And like I say, you see it a lot in the intro videos. It's just very twitchy, very responsive. This is going to be something that the helicopter enthusiasts out there will certainly figure out the controls. What I do absolutely love is the raw machinery you see on display here. You can see all the little bolts and things moving around. You can see the hot exhaust coming out of the exhaust there. You can see the jet engines there just exposed. Absolutely love that. And look at the tail. You can see the shaft running to the tail rotor spinning round. That's exposed on the outside of the airplane. It's like a Meccano set. Look at that. Through there and then up there to the tail rotor. I think that is just awesome. Absolutely love seeing that detail. So yeah, this is an interesting one. It's going to be good fun for the missions. It is hard to fly. I have not got my setup set up for helicopters just now. So yeah, it's quite something. Helicopters are a unique beast and they take a lot of coordination and control and practice to get good at. I have spoken to helicopter pilots who fly them for real, and it is amazing the amount of extra things you have to think about compared to flying an aeroplane and the things that these rotors are doing. But yeah, looking forward to trying this one out in some missions. I think it'll be good fun. And again, another beautifully detailed model and a challenging aeroplane to handle, no doubt about it. Or aircraft, I should say. Time for the Fairchild Republic A10C Thunderbolt 2. This is from DC Designs. We've used a few DC Designs aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, so I'm curious to see how this one comes across in 2024. Funnily enough, military aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 that you got through the marketplace didn't ever include any weapons. Something to do with the way it was licensed, so I don't fully understand. So I'm curious to see if they have that main feature, the big gun on the front, modeled in this aircraft. But yeah, in terms of variants, there's only one livery and I think only one variant available, which is absolutely fine. So let's give it a flight. Here we are on the flight deck then, and supposedly the Grand Canyon. When bits of it decide to actually load in, it does look quite nice, but there we go. Yeah, DC Designs A10. Now, this is not the most detailed of the default flight decks that we've seen. You can see sort of the bolts around the window look a little bit plain, and there are a few blank areas. The instruments look nice though, I think, on this front panel. Yeah, it's a little bit smooth in some areas, a little bit of that old style, this sort of texture that we used to see in the 2020 aircraft. On the outside as well, the jet wash seems to be the old style jet wash. So I don't know if you can see, but out the back of the exhaust, it's just sort of this wavy pattern. So yeah, this one's a little bit on the softer side. I am getting a glitch with the textures on the nose as well. That might fix through a reload. Who knows what's down to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 streaming and whatnot. As I've said many times, I wish we can just download this stuff locally. I know the world can't be downloaded, but it might save the internet if I could have the aeroplane ready to go. So hopefully that comes later. Handling, it's a pretty nice thing. It's different. We've got the heads-up display. Mirrors are also improved now. They look much more representative of what you might see behind you. So I quite like that. And yeah, this is quite a sporty aeroplane. Not sure what I'm doing wrong with the trim. I'm not getting the trim to work, but we do have some of these multifunction displays running nicely with this sort of camera system down here and the map over here. So that's pretty cool, and I'm sure there's more features to be had out of this. I'm hoping there's a dive mode for those air brakes on the wingtips. But yeah, overall, I'm not sure I'll spend too much time in this airplane, frankly. It doesn't fit in with much of what I do in the simulator. But yeah, it is maneuverable, and it certainly is a good one for flying in through these canyons. In terms of handling, if I pull it and put it and put it and put it, you do get the wingtip vortices, which is nice to see. And then can we convince it to... Oh, we can black out. There you go. And let's see if we can get it into a stall. So just throttle all the way back. See what happens at a higher angle of attack. Let's try and drag it around the turn. There's the stall warner. And eventually it gives up there as you enter the buffet and go in and out of the G. So yeah, it's nice, but I mean, I think it's clear that the handling of all the airplanes included in 2020 is so much better than we had before. So yeah, this is going to be fun for people to do some military style flying, and there's not many fighter jets included, but I'm excited to see if we can get the Heatblade F-14 and so on brought across into 2024. What it has got better is these airplanes are not as twitchy. Fighter jets used to just be hopelessly twitchy in 2020. And it was only certain developers that managed to get them to feel right. And yeah, I think in general, this one feels nicer than I had expected it to in the terms of the flight model. What does annoy me still is the camera positioning. Why on earth, and I'm on the spot view and I want to look at the airplane, is the camera pointing up into the sky? If you look, this is me pulling up. If you let the airplane actually fly level, the camera just sort of points up into the distance. You can't ever get a nice view of your machine. What a shame. Then you zoom in, and then airplane's out of shot. That's it. I mean, I just don't get it. This was a problem in 2020, and it's a problem again here. Looks like we have a camera loaded on the front as well, so they didn't put the machine gun in. There you go. Well, certainly not in its full glory. That's a bit of a shame. If you get it into the dark though, this does have some really nice night lighting on the exterior. These formation lights look glorious, really glowing away. Perhaps a little too bright, but still, I like it. These are quite a cool feature of military aircraft used for, I believe, for formation flying in the dark. Very cool. Now, another really interesting aeroplane that could get overlooked, I think, the Heart Aerospace ES30. Now, Sobo said in one of the interviews that they wanted to include a sort of electrification, you know, what's the future of aviation, and it is going to have to go more sustainable, isn't it, aviation? It's just a fact. So they've gone for this one. Now, this is not a fully electric aeroplane. I was a bit confused when I saw it. I thought, why has it got 4 engines? You know, 4 engines doesn't seem a practical way to go more efficient. Well, what it is, it's an electric hybrid. As far as I understand, it has 2 turboprop engines and then 2 electric engines. So I think these are turboprops on the outside and electric in the middle. Now, turboprop engines are very efficient on this sort of airplane. So I'm curious to see how the electric and turboprops are combined in this airplane. Got a couple of liveries as well, so you can have a bit of fun with this. Quite a few, actually. So they've gone well with it. Oh, is that an Orbit Airlines? Oh, can't resist an Orbit Airlines livery. Yes, it is. Right, Orbit Airlines have upgraded. Excellent. Variant-wise, there is, of course, just the one variant. It takes 30 passengers. There you go, 30 passengers, and it is a range of about 1,300 kilometers. So there's 2 different ranges. There's the hybrid range and then the pure electric range. So let's take it for a flight and see what we make of it. Right, flight deck then of the Heart Aviation ES... let me get the name right. The ES30. 50, I've already forgotten. Anyway, this is quite an interesting one. It's pretty sparse in here. Clearly it's a bit of a concept airplane, so they don't really know what it's going to look like for sure. But what we do get is the overhead panel, so there are some interesting things up here. In particular, you have a high voltage electronic system, which is for engine, I presume engine 1 and 2, or the smaller outboard engines. And then we have obviously our normal fuel system and anti-icing system, available for the normal engines, the turboprop engines. Now, I haven't actually figured out how to see the displays for those, but you have, look here, you have fire buttons for them as well, start system for them, and then electrical start as well. So I believe you could start the turbine engines, and then you can start the electrical systems. You can feather the propellers, very important if you have an engine failure. So yeah, it's really quite different, quite interesting. I think there could be some fun to be had here. Let's put the flaps to 15. And let's go for a takeoff. I just wish I could have a nice engine display showing here. We do have an autopilot control up there. Even got a clock showing here. Right. not going to worry too much about the V-speed. I want to just see if it flies. So there it is in its glorious Orbit Airlines livery. Release the brakes. I like the registration GPOW-Q. Look at that. And it's quite cool that you have small propellers on the outside on the turboprops and large propellers on the electric motors. Now, electric motors, I suppose, wouldn't need to be spinning when you sat on the runway, so you might see it they would just be still until you need them. It'd be quite a strange sensation. Right. Throttle detent reached, so it wants us to override it. RBA. Oh, there we go. Full power. Some interesting sound effects. Away we go. This is quite cool. I think this could be a fun aeroplane. It looks like it should hold more than 30 people. Along we go, along we go. I like it. Really pretty design. Let's get it rotating. I do like T-tail turboprops. After all, I started out on the Q400. So yeah, this is my sort of aeroplane. Positive climb, gear up. Nice. Really nice. Oh, slightly staggered gear. Always a nice detail. Lots of aeroplanes do have that. Let's just get it trimmed out a little bit. So this is, yeah, I think going to be quite good fun. There we go, 15 degrees. Modern airplane, side stick style. Feels a little bit fly-by-wire actually. I suspect this is, no, trimming is working. Yeah, it does need trimming. Let's bring the power back a little bit. And bring the airplane into a sort of a gentle climb. Bring the flaps up. And away we go. Think how efficient we're being. So their idea is that we don't need full electric airplanes just yet, and they probably wouldn't have the range, so why not have a hybrid system where you can have both? And I think that's potentially a very good idea. So, there we go. So yes, a fun and different sort of airplane. A little bit bland is the only thing I would say. It lacks that feeling of a real airplane, because of course it isn't yet, and it means that the flight deck can just be a little bit uninteresting to be in. And without some more information on these systems and how these engines are interacting, I think it's missing out slightly. However, I do like the look of it, and I think it's a cool idea. So I might try and do some more things with this one, because it does fly nicely as well. Not the fastest airplane in the world, but that's not really what it's for. That big, high, straight wing for efficiency. Nice. Now, unbelievably, Asobo included 2 hot air balloons. There's hot air balloon basic, and then there's a motorized hot air balloon. No idea what the difference is. Let's start with the basic one. And can we have any other colors? Because the best thing about hot air balloons is the wacky liveries. Look at that! It's actually loaded in. Yeah, these are... Oh, wow. So far an easy choice. Oh no, getting more difficult. I like a lot of these designs. Okay, what are we going to go for? Of course, I reckon there'll be some really fun designs soon enough on flightsim.to. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Let's go for... This has some pink in it, so we'll go for this one. And let's take it for a flight. Or a float. Okay, away we go. Now, it just loaded up and immediately sent the thing up into the air. I have no idea what controls are available. This one isn't motorized. I believe hot air balloons have a way to... release air and use that to guide themselves, but they are pretty much at the mercy of the wind. So you can tap the throttle, which gives you fuel. What happens if I do that? I should probably... Oh, have I broken it? Nope. I should probably stop playing with things. It's a pretty cool sensation, I've got to say. It's something nice, and I like that they have the... candles sort of lit there constantly. Now, I have flown in a hot air balloon once, and that's probably the only time I'll ever do it. Are we in live weather? Let's have a look at live weather. Let's just get it floating. There we go. So you can feel it moving around. Yeah, I found it completely terrifying, and I'm not great with heights. By the way, I'm just loading this up. Here we go, the Ngorongoro crater. I was hoping to see some wildlife. Oh, now we're getting drifted around. I was hoping to see some wildlife in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I haven't found any yet. I thought it'd just be everywhere, but sadly not. So, yeah, what have we got? We've got... What does this tell us? Not sure. Not sure. Altitude probably. Climbing away, climbing away. I want to let air out. But, yeah, it was quite a distressing experience for me being a pilot Oh, I love that. I love that I'm leaning over the side. I was crowded in with a lot of other tourists, and we went so high. It just went up and up and up, and I just couldn't believe it. Oh, I love the animations. Just chilling out, yeah. And the creaking and the wires, because you can actually look around and see the wires like this, and it's just, yeah, it's not a sensation I was entirely comfortable with, but I know other people around me absolutely loved it. I'm just not very good with heights. I like having a nice aeroplane and some wings and everything like that available to me. Lots more to learn. There's our shadow. That's cool. Oh, it's gone now. Could see our shadow for a second there. We've gone far too high. But yeah, doesn't seem to be any way to steer as you'd expect or control it. So we'll try the motorized one out, see if that's any better. Lovely model though. They've got the tanks. I remember having tanks all around you. You've got the wicker basket. Yeah, good fun to be had with this. Just going to take a while to learn the controls. But that is something I need to do. And maybe the missions will help us with that. Right, off we go. As soon as you load in, it springs into the air. So there goes our motorized. Oh no, there we go, back on the ground. Okay, we might have more luck this time. So this is our motorized hot air balloon. This is the Flydo Eco XL. Same sort of instruments. Got a little tablet down there. So what happens if I move the controls around? Okay, that's still the gas. Okay, through a bit of experimenting, I managed to get the propeller to work. I don't know if it only works. Oh, better get off the ground. Ah, we're going to get dragged forwards. Lift, 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 please, 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 please. Well, this is a little more of a stressful experience for ballooning than I would imagine. Although, like I say, I found it perfectly stressful enough on its own. Okay, that's enough. We're lifting off the ground. Let's zoom out. It's quite hard to see what's going on around you in this little cockpit. Is our motor running? Motor's running. And that's it. We can steer it slightly if I adjust. Oh, well, that was easier said than done. That's not proving too easy. Let's try using the control. Oh, look at that. It does steer. Ever so slightly. Now, there will be a very specific technique you need to adopt, I'm sure, to make this work properly. And now we're sinking down. Yeah, a whole world of fun to be had, certainly, and probably going to require more patience than I have with my let's do cruise control. Can I just set it to something? No. No, that's it. Not happening now. Broken everything. Anyway, there you go. Another balloon, a bit more control. I want to go over there. I can't. It's a balloon. Excellent. Although we are actually going to drift with the wind. What they do with the real balloons, of course, is they will drive to the right part and then let the wind drift them over whatever you want to see. So perhaps that's a better way to plan this. Actually look at the weather first. Oh, should we try a landing? First balloon landing. Should we give it a go? That would be nice if I could get that. I really don't know how I got that engine running. And you've got to really adjust the sync rate gently. I think we're going to be all right. The one time I went ballooning, I wasn't in control of the balloon, of course, and it nearly drifted into a power line, which was not a fun sensation. No, too much. That's it. We're going back up again. I need like an emergency. There must be a way to release air from this thing. Hot air, anyway. That's fuel. That's fuel. Sure, they have a handle. Anyway, this is all going to go wrong now because we're going to make it over to the trees that I didn't want to be in. Okay. Okay, here we go. Bang. Okay. Good. Well done. Get out. Get out again. Right, moving on to an aeroplane that we can control, please. So this is the Jetson One, presumably named after the Jetsons, although I'm not sure on that. It's a little drone flying around. It's only one configuration, only one livery. Yeah, these are the ones that I'm not too excited about flying. We've got a couple of drones here we'll have a quick look at. Yeah, they're not really my sort of thing. Even in remote control land, I don't spend too much time flying around on drones. But let's take it up to a helipad and give it a go for a bit of flying over a city. Okay, so the Jetson drone. Let's see what this is like. This is going to be an interesting one, designed for sort of personal mobility. And, you know, this could be a future we're headed for, flying around in let's take an evening sort of flight, flying around in a electric drone. Why not? Nice and quiet. Again, probably for the very rich only. So if I add some power, up we go. Now, being a drone, I would expect this to basically be very easy. You tell it what height you want to be. Let's drop it down. Can we hover it very easily? Pretty straightforward so far. Okay, let's fly it forwards. Forwards, please. Yes. So incredibly stable. This is just a computer. You know, it's GPS controlled, I would imagine, or similar. You can strafe left and right. Then you can rotate with the rudder. And you can forwards and backwards. Now this is, even in the simulator, giving me a bit of vertigo, because that is quite a sensation to look back at a skyscraper and see where you started. Pretty fun though. It'd be cool to see if there's like a more difficult mode you can go into, or make it, you know, roll upside down. But that's not really the purpose of this drone. I think it's here to cruise you around, a bit of personal mobility. Now this is not I doubt I'll spend much time in this. It's cool to see it. I like the sort of lights on the back. It'd be good if they're like brake lights, wouldn't it? Imagine that. No, okay, they don't seem to change when you stop. But yeah, this one's actually very easy. Unlike the helicopters, this is perhaps the future of this sort of technology. It does make sense. My only worry with it is, of course, yes, you've got two propellers. Perhaps I'm not sure how many motors it's got, but it's the idea that one side fails. Doesn't take much, does it, if you need all four to be working constantly, whereas in an airplane or even a helicopter, an engine failure is not the end of the world, whereas in this or in some sort of drones, I should say, it could be the end and you just flip over. Look at that. If you let go of the controls, this is quite interesting. If you fly it, you're flying it forwards, then you just let go, the controls center, and then it automatically brings itself to a stop, and that's it. So this is clever technology, because this is what it would need to be if people are going to use it to get to work. You don't want it to be difficult. We could all fly around in our Jetson drones. Love it. And I assume we can just plonk it down on the helipads. Bit forwards. Stop there, please. And oh, done. Yeah, fun. That's good fun. It's quite a sterile experience, but it's something different anyway. There we go. You can also adjust the speed of it. So you have this little gearbox or setting. So in setting 1 it goes this fast forward, and then you can go to setting 2 and it will let you go a bit faster, and yeah, then you have a bit more of an extreme experience. Oh, there it is, all the way down there. Dive back down to our helipad. Goodness me. Yeah, it's quite disorientating. Next drone is the Joby S4. Now this is a strange one. It looks a little bigger, and if we configure it, do we get any changes? Starting to see some of the other airplanes. Can't wait to get into that C-17, but patience. So one variant, one livery. Let's give it a go. An absolute monstrosity. It looks like a big spider to me, the amount of propellers it's got. But let's take it for a spin. Right, here we are then. I believe this is designed to be a sort of air taxi sort of thing. It's quite secretive. It is an upcoming project from Joby Aviation. Should be able to cruise at 200 miles an hour, 150 miles range, all on electricity. Vertical takeoff landing, of course, and 100 times quieter than a helicopter. So let's give it a go. I'm guessing this is going to be a similar experience to our other drones. So if we provide it with power, it's supposed to be a very simplified system. We have a full screen here, which is quite interesting. Oh, no, don't reset. It's only charged at 50%. That's a bit disappointing. 75 kilowatt hours. Quite light, actually, on the old controls. Let's see if we can convince it to power on and do anything. Oh, that was a mistake. It's going. Forwards. I have a bit of control, left and right. Okay, so it does work. Had to do a bit of button pressing on the controller there. So how do you make it hover? Not sure about that, but there we go. Super simple is the idea here. 49%, we're running out of battery already. 48%, oh dear. Let's throttle back a little bit. Try and save some of that energy. Yeah, quite a different sort of machine. Now, as I said, I'm not really into my drones. I don't know whether this is going to be one that I ever even load up ever again. Quite an interesting design. It looks quite cool and does give a nice view out the front, but I've got plenty to learn about configuring those propellers. How do I make it? I want to make it to a vertical, go back into hover. Doesn't seem so easy to do. We're sort of committed now to whizzing along forwards. I suppose it does have wheels. We might be able to land it on a runway if we needed to. But perhaps this is the future, hey? You'll be flying around in drones like this, sat in the back like an Uber. Just call it up and it will come and hover onto the road in front of you. Oh, there we go. It's transitioned into a bit of a hover. Okay. So it does just takes a moment to do that. There we go. Nice. What does the cabin look like? Yeah, you'll be sat in the back there, chatting, leaving a review of what you thought of the pilot. Excellent. Right, finally London loaded just as I finished this clip. Moving on. Time for this Magni Autogyro now. This is cool. Magni Gyro M24. These are still available. First Autogyro I've tried. I think it might be the first I've tried in a simulator. This one is an Italian design, and Autogyros are cool. They're sort of a compromise between an airplane and a helicopter, but the top rotor, this, oh, look at this horrible viewing screen, but there we go. The top rotor there does not spin as per the engine. It spins freely. So no configurations, although a few little different liveries you can enjoy. Some quite bright ones. Oh, a safari. Now this would be quite a cool one for a safari. Or a pearl beige. Yeah, some nice liveries. Let's go for pearled beige and take it for a flight. Okay, Ryan M24 Autogyro. This is cool. These work, as I said, engine running in the background. You can see the forward propeller, so this pushes us forward through the air, and then the rotor on top starts spinning with the airflow. What that then does is allow us to take off without a wing and in a shorter distance than a traditional aeroplane. So the idea is a bit of a compromise between the two. Efficient, quite good low speed performance, but not relying on a wing and high speed, so you can have short takeoffs, landings without the whole expense and difficulty of a fully fledged helicopter. So let's get it going. Nice and small, nice detail again, nice exterior model, I love it. This is something different, always good, and this should feel a bit like a helicopter really in terms of flying. You won't be able to hover it very easily, but if you've ever seen one of these at an air show or an Autogyro, they do some amazing things. Right, let's get it going. So jump into the cockpits, very straightforward. Release the parking brake, throttle up, please, there we go. And it's just going to go forwards. Let's keep an eye on that rotor. Look at it wobbling around. There it goes. I think they do have a system to give it a bit of a quick start instead of doing what I just did there. And then you just heave it into the air, and that's it. It's a wing on top of us. And these do quite a distorted angle. Again, this terrible camera positioning. I will stop whinging about it eventually. But there we go, flying forward, 50 knots. You've got to keep forward speed in these. You can't just hover it entirely. This looks astonishingly like that airport in the Caribbean. We're actually in Italy. There we go. And if I do a bit of a wing over, so you raise the nose and then you can do wacky things with it. Round we go. Love it. And some really cool sound effects as well. So this is one definitely to have your speakers up on if you're going to fly this. I'll try and turn it up for you now. Just give that a go, see if you can hear it. Try that again. Heave it round. Great fun. And you can just pull it out because of course you're not going to stall the wing in the same sense. We have got far too much airspeed, so let's try and land it now. This is a very different experience for me, something I've got a lot of learning to do on. I want to see if we can just do a nice short landing with it. They are pretty high up now. So we'll do a spiral down. Pull the nose up, throttles all the way back. And if the engine fails, you see, you can just glide in. It's just working like an airplane, just like a helicopter. Auto rotates after all. That's what helicopters do when their engine fails. This is called an auto gyro. Too much forward speed though, so let's put it up, speed back. Okay, that might be a bit too much. This is going to hurt. Whoa! Okay, don't do that. That was the wrong mistake. Probably better to do a safe, sensible approach. and that will put you in a better position for a safer landing with this one. This is cool though, I like it. Different sort of machine, something that we'll have to learn, and I think definitely a good bit of fun. Nice. You could have good fun trying to see what distances you can actually get this to land on. Let's try and do another. I want to actually land it. That was just a crash. That doesn't count. So powering back now. Bring it in. It needs forward speed. It does have an amber speed band. Like I say, it needs to be going forward. So bring the throttle back. I don't know if you would idle this or not. And of course that rotor does give us drag, so we will naturally slow down with the throttle back. There we go, I can feel it really decelerating. Bit of power on. Bit of power on. Putting it at the nose. Well, that would have been firm, but I think we'd have been able to use the aircraft again. Very cool. Cool machine. Now we're on to an aerobatic airplane. Our first aerobatic airplane, actually, the Red Bull Air Race MXS-R from Microsoft and InnyBuild. So this is a third-party one. I'll be curious to see what can we configure. I don't suspect much. I wonder if they have any cool Red Bull liveries available for it. Yep, just the one variant livery, just the MXS-R livery, so that's fine. Let's take it for a spin. This is going to be a good one for some of those missions. I'm sure we see it featured there later. We're going to have the Edge 540 as well. Well, there's not too many surprises here with the MXS-R aerobatic. It's incredibly twitchy. I quite like the G meter over here. You can see how much you've exceeded it by. With a controller, I'm using an Xbox controller for this. You have to be incredibly smooth with it. A couple of glitches there you can see with the textures, but yeah, if you want it to be, it will roll around like mad, and in particular it will pitch like mad as well. Designed for the Red Bull Air Races, so you can expect it would be designed for some very high G maneuvering. Very clean on the outside, but that is sort of what you expect. These airplanes are kept in immaculate condition. They're sort of show horses, aren't they, as they go around, so yeah, that doesn't surprise me too much. It's not a working airplane in that sense. And you can also have smoke with this one. Try out the Microsoft Flight Simulator smoke effects. There you go. So that's nice. And take it for some fun aerobatics. Again, really here for the missions, isn't it? This is going to be awesome for flying around the Red Bull Air Races. I didn't actually realise Red Bull Air Race came to Monument Valley at all. I didn't know that had been a thing. So yeah. Oh, sorry about that. That's pretty sickening camera work there. But yeah, it's cool. It's fun. It's fast. I think you can have some good fun. But again, mainly going to be good for the missions. Although you might enjoy flying for some formation or races with your friends online if you want to do that in the free flight sort of mode. Nice. I absolutely love that my my pilot figurine is in there in full stripes, work attire. Excellent. Now we have the PC-12NGX from Microsoft and Coronado, so another excellent third-party developer here. This is a modern sort of private jet aeroplane. It is a jet, it's a turbine, but it's meant to be a bit more greener, a bit more efficient, a bit more practical perhaps than some of jet aircraft. So yeah, really cool. Only one engine, which does make it into its own sort of strange category, and they actually describe it on their website, Pilatus, which I quite like, as the world's greatest single, because often airplanes are referred to as twins, so when they have two engines. So why not the world's greatest single? There is obviously a downside to a single engine. It limits where you can go, and it also means that pilots who fly this airplane are obviously slightly limited on the licensing they have. But anyway, there we go. Let's take it for a flight. Here we are then, a glorious sunny day in St. Bart's. We had to come to St. Bart's at some point on this. And yeah, PC-12, a classic sort of posh airplane to be flying around this part of the world. Quite like this sort of metal and black livery, very smart. We're going to take it for a quick flight here and have a look at it. But yeah, this is a fast, high-performance airplane. You're going to be able to fly all over the world in all sorts of cool airports like Courchevel and St. Bart's and so on with this, whilst also covering some decent ground. It's got the legs, it's got the power. Made by Coronado, so let's see what it's like when we get it into the air. I'm optimistic. Strange bug we're getting here with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, where the propeller, I think it's synchronizing with the light as opposed to, it looks like it's shut down in the shadow. It's a bit like Peter Pan. You've got different shadows to what you're seeing. I also quite like the exhaust coming out the turbine sides, just sort of floating off there. It's quite a neat feature. Let's get it into the air. Don't know why Microsoft Flight Simulator keeps loading the airplanes halfway into the runway. That is a bit of a shame. It might be a bit of an issue today out of St. Bart's. I'm going to take 2 stages of flaps to make sure this works. I'm going to leave it on the park brake for just a moment, and I'm going to go to full power. I want to be really sure we've got everything out of this machine. Release the brakes. Off we go. You can do it, airplane. You can do it. Oh yeah, no problem. Gentle rotation, and we're away. Positive climb. Gear up. Okay, it's complaining about the flaps, so I imagine that isn't a normal takeoff setting. Here's a cruise ship, just like we had in 2020. No to nose, let it accelerate. Away from the terrain. Flaps up a stage. Yeah, so clearly you're not supposed to have the gear up and that many flaps, so not normal takeoff setting, but it's away. Lovely handling. This is a nice feeling airplane. I can tell that straight away. Also got proper avionics for it, which is nice to see. So it is representative of the real aircraft. Let's leave one stage of flap out and bring it round. This is live weather, by the way. This is what they're getting in the Caribbean right now. How lucky, or not lucky, how lovely is that? What a place to live. Overheating the engine, caution's running, so this is good. As I said, made by Coronado, so I was optimistic that this would be a full experience, and it looks like it is. Bring the power back now. We don't need to keep climbing away. That'll cool off the engine and get rid of that warning. And we can bring it right back now. Downwind. Now, I've spoken to pilots who've flown PC-12s. It's a popular aeroplane, and I can see why. It's just lovely, fast, sporty. Me, personally, I'm a little too used to 2 engines these days, so I would quite like to have 2. But, yeah, as they said, the world's best single, so they are quite happy to promote that single-engine fact, and I can see why. It's a lovely machine. And turboprops are generally, you know, considered reliable engines, so shouldn't be an issue there. As I said, custom avionics, you've got the custom screens here, the VHF, then you've got all the systems pages down here. So there's lots going on in this airplane. Yeah, I like it. And then you have a full autopilot should you choose. Let's see, we just put the autopilot on and we'll just leave it in alt mode. And let's put it into heading. Yeah, nice. Beautiful machine, really. I think this could be a nice one. It could be a bit of fun. And like I say, this has got a lot of uses, the PC-12. It's just nice as well, the level of detail you're getting in these airplanes. Even the armrests work, you know. This is default airplane, and now it's just such a different experience to what we had before. Really, I can't stress that enough. It's really, really nice. You can just pick any of them and just jump in and enjoy it instead of having to get frustrated over it not working properly. And that is assuming you can get the simulator to load at all. But yeah, really, really lovely. Here we go, the difficult bit then. It's one thing taking off from St. Bart's. Let's try and land into it. Throttling back. We've got one stage of flap out. Lots of different bing bongs and so on. Second stage of flap. That might trigger the gear warner. Propeller low pitch. Okay. Add a bit of power. Low pitch suggests that we have not enough power on, so it's having to go too fine. Then we'll drop the landing gear, which it seems less worried about this time round. St. Bart's is always a fun challenge. Love the view. Okay, there's the runway. We'll go full flat. We're going to need it all. And we need to slow down. Too fast. Okay, feels like a stable approach. Now, I'm not entirely sure of our VREF for this landing, so that's going to be a bit of an issue. So I'm going to keep trimming it out and seeing if we can get a sensible sort of angle of attack going. Remember, lots of these airplanes we'll be taking a closer look at in future. This is just a little taste of them all, just to sort of have a whistle-stop tour, try them all out. Okay, so you want about, it's normally about a 1.23 stall margin. So if you look at modern airliners, this is a similar sort of margin to what you'd see to the stall on final approach. So I think that's a pretty safe place to be. And that's the end of the simulator. Continuing our theme of weird and wonderful aviation machines in this episode, we've got the Powrachute Sky Rascal. So effectively a powered parachute sort of power glider. What are they called? Yeah, Powrachute, I guess is the name they've gone for. There's some great videos on YouTube of these that people have flying around open airspace when they're able to, and it does look great fun. It looks like having your own little jetpack. We'll go with the acid green. I think that's a nice colour to start out with, but there are actually a few liveries included, which is pretty cool. Let's take it for a spin. Here we are then in our Powrachute, our sort of powered paraglider. This is really quite fun. You can take it around and do some incredibly slow flight. We're pointing into wind here, and you can see we've come to a stop. These things obviously can sit in an updraft and basically hang there. You've got the motor though to actually get you where you want to go. You don't have much control over it. You can pitch up and down. So you've got this bar in front of you. You can pull up and you can pitch down, which is absolutely fine. And you can bank left and right. So it's relatively conventional, certainly more conventional than some of these quadcopters we've seen. So if I give it a whole load of power now, we'll start driving forwards through the air, and then I can pull up and get us up alongside this hill, because we are just out of sight of the needles, unfortunately. So it'd be quite nice to show them to you. The real one, of course, is a slow machine. You're not going to cover much ground with it, but great for enjoying the view. And yeah, it's just got the slight risk of being susceptible to any mechanical turbulence. So sitting in the updraft is a great idea, but if you're downwind of a hill and it gets blown around, you're not going to have much spare power or performance. You haven't even got a rigid wing, so you could find yourselves at the mercy of some pretty nasty currents and getting forced up and down and into the side of things. So you've got to be careful. Staying upwind and above the terrain is probably your friend. The opposite of what I just did there, although we're sort of upwind. I think the wind's coming from the left slightly there. You have a rudder, but all that does is move that bar in front of you, which gives you a nose wheel steering on our little frame we have here. You can just about see it moving there. And that's about it, really. And you can see here, getting really buffeted around. You've got to be very, very careful. Now, I do want to touch it down here just to see what happens. Yeah, see how rough it's getting. This would not be comfortable, because the risk in the real thing would be, of course, that parachute collapsing on you whilst you're trying to do some flying. But look at that. You can just pull up and just go vertical, because it can sit there basically as a glider. So let's just power back now, see if I can get it to touch down. We're basically going to be hovering. Here we go, not too firm, down, and stop. And there you go. And I was wondering what the parachute would do, and it does collapse. So they've worked on the softs mechanics really in this simulator, so I was curious to see how they work, and it does seem to work. Let's take it off again, see how it looks. Here we go then, full power. I don't know how this will work in real life. I imagine someone else would inflate the canopy. Look at that, that's awesome. Up it goes, and up we go. Sort of, get dragged around a little bit, leave some tracks in the mud. Let's keep it going, trying to get over to this side really. Great though. That's cool to see the cloth effects in play there. Oh, we can just about see the needles. Maybe we just climb just over there. Not a good tour guide, I can tell you that. But yeah, great for just soaking in the view. There they are. Finally, we made it. Soaking in the view and landing where there's nowhere to land. That's what this is for. You could have some fun, I imagine, trying to land this onto like a helipad. Good fun. Robinson time then. We have the R66 turbine. In my initial video about the aircraft coming in this sim, I mistakenly thought this was going to be the piston Robinson, but no, it's a turbine, because we have, look at that, the spray system. So yeah, another one that's going to be useful for missions and a bit of agriculture. That's pretty cool. Not a fan of that livery. Let's give something a little brighter. Oh, orange. We'll go with the orange. So yeah, let's take it up for a flight. It's yeah, I think this could be good fun. These are quite nimble little things. Here we are in our Robinson, and check out this weather. I want to show you this. This is live weather. We've finally got some snow. You can see the wind from the helicopter affecting the grass around us, and the trees all looking pretty bleak and miserable. If I then move it into the middle of summer in June, the trees grow their leaves. I think that's really neat. I'm also not going to fly around in that. That's a little too miserable. So we'll go for some nice classic few clouds and a nice setting. Oh, I've just jumped out. By the way, watch out for that. You can click on the click spot and walk out of any of the aeroplanes if you're not careful. So I've just got to walk back over, please, and jump in. Thank you. It's quite fun, but also can catch you out, especially when you're sat on the ground. So, turbine helicopter. Let's give it a go. So, going to gently throttle up. Bit of tail rotor needed. Oh, bit too much. This is quite a challenge, this one. Not sure what that siren is. Could be low rotor speed. Let's get it going through the air. Some forward motion will be good for it, I'm sure. It'll be more happy. What a horrible, horrible noise. I'm not sure what it's complaining about. Perhaps low rotor speed. But there we go. Flying away with our agriculture spray underneath us. That's really cool. What I'd like to try and do is bring it over a field, and we'll see that grass shimmering as they do in the trailer. Let's see if we can get that effect to work. That would be really cool. Pretty model though. I like it a lot. Hard to fly though. This is a challenge. No doubt about it. Right, do we get the grass effect? Lots and lots of sirens and complaints. There's the dust being blown up. There it is. Yes, look, you can just about see the grass wobbling away beneath us. it's a little bit tricky to actually enjoy it because this is quite responsive. Okay, that's not a good thing to do with a helicopter, of course. Right, let's bring it round. Let's try that again. And I'm sure, again, that this will be used heavily for crop spraying. Okay. Don't know what the siren's for. Oh, that's a shame. We haven't got the grass wobbling here. Not sure what the criteria is. Maybe that's too short. Maybe we head over here. Nice sound effects too. This is, along with the SkyScrane, this is a hard helicopter to fly. These helicopters are proving tricky with an Xbox controller. This might be something you need to spend a bit of time adjusting if you want to get into your helicopters. There you go. This grass does do the effect. So it's something to do with the length. Wow, if you go full throttle, it goes mad on you. You've got to be very, very careful. Okay, last try, because I can't listen to that noise much longer. There we go. Terrible. That is the hardest helicopter I've ever flown in a simulator. Really, really sensitive, really twitchy. It's cool when you get it into the right place though, but my goodness, that's going to take some practice and control adjustment. As with most aircraft, gently does it. Once you get a bit of airflow, it does seem a little more responsive. I'm not entirely sure what that horn is for. Where it is. What is it saying? Yeah, low RPM. I thought it might. So, yeah, quite the techniques to make sure that doesn't happen I'm not familiar with. But there we go. I know it's a problem with helicopters, so we'll keep that RPM steady. And if we jump outside, you can, of course, do crop spraying. If we go Z, there you go. Just as we could in the air tractor, you can go and do some crop spraying. I'm sure this is used in missions. And it's going to be a really good fun one to do it with, I think. But it is a bit of a challenge. This is a machine not to be underestimated. Getting this into the hover is a tricky thing to do, although at least you won't be hovering when you're doing your crop spraying. I love the effects though. I do like it as you see all the bits of grass and so on fly around and wobble around in front of you. Very powerful as well. The slightest increase in throttle and it has no trouble just rocketing away. There we go. We're getting there. I think we're getting this slightly under control, but very easy to get into low RPM situation. Bang. Yeah, I've never flown a helicopter in my life, and I think that's pretty obvious. Next up is the Stemme S12G glider. Now, gliders were given quite a big focus during the presentation for this sim. You remember as well, FSX launched with a big glider focus as well. One of the discs actually had a glider on it. So you can see here that there's specific glider fields. So as soon as you choose a glider, it does show them to you. So that's pretty cool. So let's set this one as a departure and take it for a flight. So here we have the Stemme glider, and it is quite a unique thing. It is a glider, as you can see, and it is a motor glider. It does have a foldable propeller on the front there. So if we want to, we can get power out of it. Let's see if I can make that happen. Might need to restart the engine for that to work. There is a fuel pump. It's not an electric engine. There you go. So it folds out, and now we have power. And then you can climb it away, fly it around on your approach as you see fit, and you've got a few more options available to you, especially if you're new to gliding. I think that's quite a nice feature to have. But indeed, if you want to then go pure gliding, you can just throttle back and shut off your propeller instead of having it dragging around. I'm not entirely sure I'm getting the controls right, and there you go, and it tucks away, and I believe you can also fold that nose cone back slightly. So again, an interesting one to see modelled, and now we're a pure glider. I think it's really cool. It could be a good bit of fun, nicely detailed cabin, something really different on the outside, and yeah, a fun way to get into gliding with such a modern and interesting machine. I'm not a glider pilot, I've never done gliding. Something you can do to help is you can draw the 3D thermals if you tick this option in Microsoft Flight Simulator's weather engine, and then you'll get a sense of where updrafts are, so you could actually have a better chance of getting yourself some more time in the air. So that's pretty cool. Also, retractable landing gear on this, so that's quite an advanced feature. This is a pretty posh glider all round, I would say. Oh, that's quite cool, the way the gear folds out one at a time. Not seen that before. Yeah, Fancy stuff. This is a posh glider, make no mistake. Anyway, we'll put those wheels away, or we'll soon find ourselves on the ground. And hopefully, as we head into this updraft, we'll find ourselves climbing. Their soft cloth dynamics looking really nice here. You've got that string up there showing you the relative airflow. Now there's lots and lots and lots of different things in this flight deck as well, so it's good fun to try and explore. I'm not sure what this lever is supposed to do, or how we pull in that that nose cone. Does that do it? Nope, not sure. But there we go. So yeah, pretty neat. And I think this visualization system could make for some nice time gliding. You see, these are updrafts, not thermals as such, as they're just coming from the wind pushing over this hill and being forced up, and then the glider can sit in that updraft. I think that's a really nice idea to have it visualized like that. Final aircraft then, and the last new aeroplane in the standard edition of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, the Red Bull Air Race Edge 540. Famous, high performance, high roll rates racing airplane made by Microsoft Any Builds. So let's take it for a spin. Here we are in flight, very similar to our other Red Bull air racing aircraft, of course. Slightly different layout of the flight deck and instruments, but yeah, another Any Builds one. Very twitchy, very nice flight deck, very believable, incredible roll rate. I mean, just madness. This feels quicker than the other one, so you do have to be very, very sensible with it. But this is going to be a lot of fun for those missions. Again, not sure what else you're going to use it for, because it's not much fun to fly any long distance in. It is a twitchy and powerful thing. You can have the smoke, of course, on this one as well. Create some nice trails. Nicely painted. But yeah, these are here for a reason. We need to go and try them out in the actual missions, really. Quite fun to fly it over Las Vegas, though. I don't know if you knew this, but the sphere seems to actually be animated in 2024. Look at that. We'll wait till we get around the other side of it. I think that's pretty cool. I didn't know it would be like that. Quite a fun Easter egg. Look at that. Brilliant. Love it. So, there we go. That is all of the standard edition aircraft, new aircraft, sorry, in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 that we've now flown. So next video, the final in this series, where we complete all of the new airplanes, is going to be the Deluxe Edition and the Premium Deluxe. So that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. The next video to come soon on the channel will cover all of the remaining new aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Plenty of other videos to come as we look at different features, different aircraft. We'll go into more detail on certain airplanes, in particular those airliners and the more complex aircraft. So lots more to be covered on the channel. Do please subscribe if you'd like to see those videos, as well as live streams, tutorials and guides on all sorts of airplanes and add-ons in Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's all then. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video very soon. Bye bye.